Today on the Stay at Home Chef, I'm showing you how to make Sunday pork roast. It doesn't have to be Sunday to enjoy this classic meal. It's kind of like pot roast, but with pork. And let me tell you, this is super flavorful, super delicious, and also pretty easy too. We're going to start by making a seasoning rub for our pork. You'll need 2 teaspoons of salt, 2 teaspoons of black pepper, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of paprika, and then we'll give this a stir. Then we'll set this aside and grab our pork roast. Today we're using a butt or shoulder roast. I designed this recipe for this particular kind of roast because it requires a long cooking time and it's also a lot cheaper. You want somewhere in the 3 to 5 pound range, and it can be bone-in or boneless, and I'm gonna set this into a large pot, but you could also use a roasting pan. Shoot, you could even use a 9 by 13 pan, it doesn't really matter. We're gonna drizzle on a couple tablespoons of vegetable oil, and you'll want to rub the outside of the roast with this oil before you put on the seasoning. Then we're gonna start sprinkling our seasoning to cover and coat the outside of the entire roast. So you'll need to be sure and flip it so you can coat the entire outside. The seasoning is so good, you want it everywhere. Now you might have noticed that mine is tied with kitchen string. It doesn't have to, but it does help the roast stay together a little bit better. Then we're gonna place this, whichever side has the fattiest side, facing up. Then we're gonna roast this in a 450-degree oven for 30 minutes. This blast of super high heat will give us a nice crackling crust and render our fat, but after 30 to 45 minutes, you'll want to turn the temperature down to 350 degrees. Let the roast continue to cook in the 350-degree oven for about 1 hour. In the meantime, you'll want to prep your vegetables. You'll want to cut 2 white onions into large chunks, so I just slice it in half. Slice each half in again and then third it so you have these nice little wedges. You'll also need 1 pound of baby carrots, or you can slice up your own carrots, and 1 to 1.5 pounds of baby red potatoes. You want them to be smaller than a golf ball. If you can only find bigger red potatoes, you'll need to cut them up so they're about this size. You'll also need 2 cups of apple juice and 1 sprig of fresh rosemary, which will add a nice aromatic to your pork roast. The roast has been in the oven for a grand total of about 1.5 hours. And at this point, we're gonna remove it from the oven, and we'll set this down for a second while we add in our vegetables. You basically wanna surround the roast with the vegetables. So I add in the potatoes first, so that they can be cooking on bottom. Then, it doesn't really matter, but we can add in the onions and carrots. And then we'll pour 2 cups of apple juice over our vegetables, and then place that sprig of rosemary right on top. Then we're gonna return this to the 350-degree oven for about another 60 to 90 minutes until the vegetables are tender and the pork shreds easily with a fork. And then you are ready to eat. Thanks for watching. You can find the full written recipe in the video description. Be sure to subscribe, like, and follow, and check out the rest of my videos, where you can find hundreds of restaurant quality recipes you can easily make at home. See you later.